Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Modded Skyrim Part 21. Last time we'd made our way to Valthiem Towers because we were heading over to Ivistad, where we want to ascend the mountain to the throat of the world. Valthiem Towers is on the way, but we did get very sleepy and we needed to sleep, so we found a bandit hideout and decided to kill all our bandits. Now mainly that was Lydia and Vilja doing all the killing. This book here is the Black Arrow. I'm just wondering whether it's a skill book. It's not. It's a storybook based on a unpleasant duchess who burnt down a school and all its occupants. So I suppose they killed loads of children, loads of teachers, just because they didn't like the look of the school. The Dark Elves, who were the main occupants of that school, promised revenge and decided to fire a black arrow into the main picture of the Duchess every day. The Duchess was a very rich woman and a very arrogant woman, and she'd have the picture guarded night and day. The picture's more like a painting or portrait, expensive portrait, commissioned portrait, and she didn't want this portrait ruined, so she'd have it guarded night and day, but every day she would find a black arrow piercing the heart of the photo. So the narrator decides to actually sit in front of the painting to make sure that it can't be shot, and the Duchess eventually comes in and talks to the narrator and says, "Oh, stop guarding that portrait for a moment. I can see a movement in the trees. That might be the person that's firing arrows into my portrait. Look out of this keyhole." The Duchess then kneels down, looks out of the keyhole to show the narrator, and an arrow goes through the keyhole into her eye. And that's the end of the first part of the story, and the narrator goes on to say what happens in the rest of his life. He hears that the school was rebuilt and the village was rebuilt, and eventually he finds a dark elf who he suspects of being this assassin, and he says, "Did you fire or he thinks about saying, "Did you fire a black arrow through a keyhole into the portrait each morning?" And he doesn't actually ask, but the dark elf in question tells him, "I'm glad you moved away from the portrait in the end." So basically that dark elf the narrator knew was the assassin, the Black Arrow. Just checking out what the bandits have. They have some fine clothes, which I'll take, just in case I need some decent clothes. A clothes iron. So these bandits were pretty much fashionable people. Some of the wine has disappeared because I drank a lot of wine last night because my character was becoming thirsty just before going to bed. Iron Helm of Destruction, Novice Robes of Destruction, Staff of the Familiar. Staff of the Familiar is quite good because that'll give me another mini companion to have. It casts a ghost wolf that does some of the fighting for you. It's a cool looking wolf. It's a see-through wolf that howls all the time. I'll have a look in this dresser. More fine clothes. I don't need any more fine clothes. Tempted to take them, but I will take them actually because they're worth a lot of money. They only weigh £1 as well. I'll fold that away in my bandolier. These gloves are cheap. I'll keep them. There's lots of books here. I could read through them all, but I won't right now. These are very common books and I'll be able to find them somewhere else, and I'll read those books or summarise those books later on. The glare of these candles is quite a lot. I'm going to check out some of these alchemy ingredients. I haven't used Alfear or Frost Miriam before, so I'll just eat them. Garlic I've got plenty of. Glowing mushrooms do resist shock, and that's quite useful because shock spells are very difficult to dodge. They effectively move the fastest out of all the spells. Vampire dust causes invisibility. As you can see, I'm invisible. just for 1 or 2 seconds. When you eat ingredients, it has a very minor effect. When you make a potion, it lasts a bit longer, but you can get the effect of a ingredient just by eating it. The first effect, anyway. I always find these novice locks quite tricky. Gold and a potion of magicka. These thieves, these bandits, were quite well kitted out. Suppose that makes sense because they are in a major road and they were taking away all the commerce that was going through. Nice place to sit. This is a bandit that Vilja killed by herself. Gold and an imperial bow. Imperial bows are 12 points of damage each, and I think that's better than what Vilja and what Lydia have. Lydia, I think she has a hunter's bow.
Yes?
Vilja, I think she also just has a hunter's bow, and that does 10, so I might switch my
Of course.
bow. She's slipping away. I'll switch my imperial bow, and she can have slightly better a weapon. I could give her the hunting bow of dismay. The fear spells are quite irritating though, because they make the enemies run away, and of course sometimes you don't want the enemies to run away because you want to make sure that they're dead and you want to steal their treasure.
To carry your burdens.
If you look at her equipment, she doesn't actually tell you she's got a hunter's bow, but she does have a hunter's bow. Either that or a longbow. I'll give her the hunter's bow of dismay. She's much more of a two-handed melee type person, so she doesn't use a bow very often anyway. There's a pickaxe. That's quite useful for mining, but we're not close to a mine at the moment. Plus our smithing skill isn't very good.
Now, how did that happen?
That tower, I can see a bandit on the other side of that tower. We'll have to kill him. He was probably the bandit that was... Ah, villagers noticed. You guys deal with the bandit. Gold. Iron armor, I don't really need that. Banded iron is decent. Banded iron armor is just as good as steel armor. Another imperial bow. I'll give that to Vilja later on. Oh, Vilja's already got a bow. I'll give that to Lydia later on. Let's deal with this evil bandit. Lots of food down here, lots of treasure for me later on.
Come on, show me how brave you are.
I'm amazed this bandit's still alive. I might be able to get some experience. Should I cast my familiar?
You are as good as dead. You're a dangerous bastard, aren't you?
So Lydia had a little kill move then. I'm such a drama cat. Why did I just fall over then? Almost fell over the edge. Lydia has an arrow in her, she doesn't mind. Steel and a lot of gold.
I've got
Lydia
your back.
has steel armor, so I don't need to give her iron armor or banded iron armor.
I am at your command.
I suppose I could give her banded iron armor plus I could upgrade it because I've got plenty of iron ingots that are lying around. However, I think this messes up her carrying capacity somewhat because she has an invisible iron armor that you can't steal. She just re-equips that from time to time. So she'd always be carrying a set of iron armor alongside her steel armor.
I feel so sad when I see the body of an adventurer.
Woodcutter's axe. Now that's going to be quite useful for me.
I wonder.
That will
Is
allow
anyone
me to
waiting
chop
for them
wood
at home?
and have firewood. That'll be useful for the camping mod the basic needs mod, and firewood can be used to upgrade a few weapons as well. I think it upgrades the hunter's bow, and it also upgrades longbows, as I remember. Child's doll. That weighs 2, but I'm going to take that because those items are quite rare. It reminds me of the peculiar doll in Dark Souls. It looks a lot like it. We'll make our way down now. The child's doll is quite useful in Hearthfire. If you ever want to adopt a child, then it's nice to buy your child a toy. So you can either buy them a wooden sword, which you can buy anywhere. That's actually a proper sword, but it doesn't do any damage. More healing potions. And the cooking pot. I think I'll boil some water for myself, because I didn't have any water last time. Now I'll take full use of this river. I've got quite a few empty bottles, as I remember. All I have to do is click on them and I fill them up. So I've got 5 bottles of river water. River water is a raw food, so it's pretty much the same as eating raw meat. So it has a 10% disease chance. What's happening here? Something odd has happened.
Can I help you?
I'm being teleported. Is this some sort of dream sequence? This looks like the Horning Brew meadery.
If you need to
Yep,
sample
there's
some
that
of the
pale
finest
guy.
mead in Skyrim, you're in the right place. Welcome.
This
I'm the owner and
definitely shouldn't have
proprietor of
happened.
Honeydew
I
Meadery.
walked into some sort of really odd portal. I think that's some sort of hack or some sort of problem with the mod, but we'll ignore that. This is one of the few times I'm going to use fast travel, because we are back in Skyrim and we don't want to walk all the way again. I will use fast travel to Valthiem Towers again. This is one of the first and only times I'm going to use fast travel. I'm sure you don't want to see me go back all the way. I'm glad I didn't have a disable fast travel mod, because that would have stopped me from overcoming all these odd crashes and mod conflicts that come from time to time. Hopefully we'll end up in exactly the same place with only a few hours delay in my game time, so my character might be a bit hungrier, a little bit thirstier, but there's that cooking pot anyway, so we can cook ourselves some food. My intention on getting the river water anyway was to boil myself up some water with that handy cooking pot, so I could make my character less thirsty, less hungry. I don't want to drink that much alcohol. Here's the cooking pot. So I can
Probably
make
nothing.
boiled water. There's beggar's stew there as well. I just wonder what beggar's stew is. It's disgusting. It's a medium meal and it decreases thirst. I can make that out of stale food, which is quite useful. So beggar's stew. Beggars eat rotten food. I'll make some boiled water. But I might make that later on. That sounds quite interesting. I think it doesn't count as raw food, even though it's disgusting. Maybe it has some interesting status effects. Here's a rotten bandit. Lockpicks are very useful in this game. You can craft them, I think, out of iron ingots. If you go to Lydia, actually, she can craft lockpicks out of iron ingots. So she's quite useful. She can also make potions as well. Here's a character in front of me. What's he about? Tilclin.
Yes? Hmm? I'm waiting.
Yeah, he has no dialogue. I don't know what he does. He does look pale though. I suppose I could use him for pickpocketing. There is some sort of village ahead. This village is not in the vanilla version. This looks like this new town. Yes, it looks like Fleetford. Fleetford is a mod designed town. We're still quite far away from Iverstead, so it's not Iverstead. It's got some sort of large imperial tower. That looks like a saber cat. A saber cat pet.
There once was a hero named Ragnar the Red who came riding to Whiterun
That's
from
Vilja singing. That's pretty
Ororikstead.
good singing.
Need
A lot better
something.
than me. It's in tune. That lizard has no dialogue.
This one needs something.
This thin little female cat
Take
has
a
got
look.
lots of things for sale. Amulet of Mara, that is quite handy. I think I've already got one of those. It's 965, so it's very expensive. But she does not have any decent armor to sell. A few magical items, moon sugar, candlelight I am tempted to have, but the tombs are bright enough. Child's doll, she sells a child's doll. Common soul gem, which is filled, which is very useful. That's 458, quite expensive. Don't want anything from you quite yet. Can you train me to sneak though?
They'll never see you coming.
She costs 320. I've got a sneak of 27. That could do with some improving. My next perk is going to be at 30, where I can have muffled movement, and that stops me from having so much
All right
detection
then.
when I'm in armor. I think I'll get that one. That also allows me to go on the right tree for Lightfoot, which stops me from triggering any traps. This is Fleetford. There's another Khajiiti
How are you doing,
tent.
Lydia?
Steal. No, I don't want
Gods,
to
I'm
steal
so
anything.
tired.
So everything here is labelled properly.
Poor you.
I'm dying for a rest. I swear I could lie down right now and just sleep forever.
I bet it must be rough at times, being a house carl and sworn to carry someone else's burdens.
I suppose I'm not left much choice in the matter, am I?
I could carry some stuff for you if you wish.
Look, perhaps we could come to some kind of agreement?
Oh, absolutely. How about this? I carry some of your burdens, and you leave some of the sweet rolls for me instead of eating them.
Well,
Lydia, it's alright. You know what? I could bake a cake for you one of these days. A pity we don't have strawberries here in Skyrim. I love strawberries.
Well, if you say so.
Of course, if I can help you in any way, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you. I'm ever so grateful.
Oh, it's alright.
Now let's pretend we never had this discussion.
You can trust me, Lydia.
Well, that was one of the pieces of unique dialogue that Vilja has with one of your companions. I think she has unique discussions with most of your companions. But it's very clever how it's done.
Of all the Khajiits I have met, you are the nicest.
Who is this? This looks really nice as well. It's just a hunter.
I've been hunting and fishing in these parts for
These
years.
hunters have generic dialogue as well, but it's very well worked in.
It's not like my poaching is hurting anyone. The Jarl can hardly eat every deer now.
They normally
a look.
sell pelts. Goat hide is only 15. That's a bargain. You can turn that into leather, so that's going to be a lot cheaper than buying a leather piece yourself.
Until next time.
But Vilja and Lydia have their own conversation. I think that was really cleverly done by the mod, because they used all this
know where we are going?
dialogue from Lydia that I've never really heard before, and they make her have a proper conversation. Here's looks like a blacksmith.
Yes, Sarah? Take a look.
I can buy ancient Nord boots and ancient Nord armor. Again, not something that I'd buy. It does look quite cool. Imperial bow sparks, now that's quite good. I can make one of those if I wanted to buy a soul gem. A lot of steel armor that I don't need, studded armor that I don't need, plenty of corundum ingots, leather as well, and leather strips that I can buy. So if I wanted to upgrade anything here, I could do so. I've got that workbench. Might make myself something, but we're coming to the end of the video, so I shall see you next
How
time
about
on Let's
just,
Play Modded Skyrim.
kill something?